Hey, this is Robert Fromm with We Act Radio and DC Media Group. I'm here with Ben Manski of Liberty Tree.
That's correct.
And we're here at the National Organization for Women Rally for Equality 2014. So, what is your role in this?
Well, this is a Constitution Day rally, the We Are Women coalition, together with ERA Action and Progressive Democrats of America and many other organizations that have pulled together. And what you're seeing here is a renewed push for final ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment. It's been a generation in the making. It's been 3 generations since it was first introduced, but it's been a generation in the making in terms of actually getting ratification. We're very close. And I think it's very important that all of us who are involved in the democracy movement in the United States support the Equal Rights Amendment ratification struggle. This is one of the core questions that we still face in this country, is the failure of our Constitution to protect the rights of women, to guarantee equal protection on the basis of sex and gender. And so I think that when you look at this forward progress with the Equal Rights Amendment, there have been, I know, a number of victories at the state level in the past year, and you look at the forward progress of the We the People Amendment, which the Move to Amend coalition has been leading on, to make clear that corporations don't have the rights of persons for the purposes of the Constitution, and that speech is not the same thing as having a lot of money. When you look at that progress, and you also see that the Right to Vote Amendment is moving forward in Congress to guarantee us a constitutional right to vote, which the Supreme Court also seems to think we don't have. You get some optimism about where the democracy movement is going. You see that the movement has taken roots in the different sectors of our society, that it's the demand for democracy is emerging in all kinds of places that might be unexpected. For example, next week at the Climate March, People's Climate March in New York City, you will see a very strong pro-democracy system change contingent, because there is a recognition that it is not enough to demand climate justice. We need climate democracy. We the people need to be able to govern our energy policy, to govern emissions, because clearly the federal government here in Washington, D.C., the other government up there at Wall Street, and maybe Dallas too, if you want to throw in the third capital here in the United States, they're not going to do the job, and the rest of us, we do suffer the results. So we're introducing a pro-democracy contingent to the climate justice movement.
Can you define what does pro-democracy?
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I think there's a simple test about whether you live in a democratic society or whether you exercise democracy in your life, and that's, do you actually govern yourself? Do you have the ability to participate meaningfully in governance? And obviously there are some parts of our lives in which we do enjoy democracy in this country, and that's largely the result, it's entirely the result of previous struggles for people to say, I have a right to have a locally elected school board. I have a right to go to public meetings and to actually observe what's going on. I have a right to vote on ballot measures. These are all democratic reforms that have been won in previous struggles. We even have democracy in our economy for some people, those who are members of worker co-ops and consumer cooperatives and community-based organizations. We get to participate in self-governance and collective self-governance. But for most of the vital decisions in our lives, we don't have that kind of democratic quality. Instead, the vital decisions are made by our bosses. They may live thousands of miles from us. They're decided among traders on trading floors and financial markets, tens of thousands of miles away. Or they may even be decided in the halls of Congress, although I think fewer and fewer decisions are made there. But the reality is that Congress doesn't represent the American people because of gerrymandering, because of corporate money in elections. So what is the democracy movement? What does that mean? It means that if you are a participant in the democracy movement, you are consciously, intentionally working to democratize America. You're working to democratize our politics, but you're also working to democratize our culture. You're working to democratize the institutions that you live and work in, that you play in. That might be your school. That might be your union. That might be the place that you work. That's what the democracy movement is. And we've been working to build it, some of us, for 2 decades now, since the early 1990s. We've had some major, I think, steps forward. If you look at the protests in Seattle, Washington in 1999, where we shut down the World Trade Organization. You look at the Wisconsin uprising, frankly. I'm from Wisconsin. We were organizing that for several months before the occupation of the Capitol took place, and we knew what was at stake, and that was reflected in the signs and the demonstrations and just the language of the uprising. It wasn't simply about benefits or about the right to organize, which is a core democratic right. It was about whether or not we would live in a state that was governed by the people of Wisconsin or governed by big corporate money from elsewhere. So that's what it means to build a democracy movement, to do the types of things that Move to Amend has been doing, that the Liberty Tree Foundation has been doing, that people here are gathered here in front of the U.S. Capitol to push forward democratic reforms that actually change power, that change the structure of government, that change the structure of our society, that change our culture. We're not simply asking for a little bit less harm. We're not simply asking for a redistribution of the spoils. What we are demanding is sovereignty, self-government, the ability to make the decisions ourselves.
So, Michael Barone is my cousin from Sierra Club. And we communicate quite often. One of the things he's seeing differently over the past 5 or 6 years are more of the environmental groups and other related groups are working together. Mm-hmm. So how's Liberty Tree working together with other groups and maybe even the climate movement?
Yeah, I mean, Liberty Tree is a unusual organization in that we do not attempt to be a mass membership organization. We also don't take corporate money. We also haven't, until this past year, solicited foundation money. For the first 10 years, we were entirely funded by individuals. Pretty small budget. But our method has been to build networks of individuals and organizations who are interested in trying new ways of organizing and movement building. So that's kind of abstract, but there are some concrete examples. We had a democratizing education program for a number of years, and what we did there was we brought together people from various graduate employee unions, undergraduate student unions, from faculty unions, and from community organizations to strategize and to find ways to build new forms of organization that could actually fight for power on college campuses around the country. And out of that has come the new movement for student unions across the country. If you were to compare today versus 10 years ago, there are student unions all across the United States today. Student unions in the sense of not the buildings, but students organizing collectively to be able to strike and to be able to bargain collectively with administrators. And that has come out of a series of meetings and conferences and trainings that we and our colleagues from these other organizations put together. So our model has always been about leveraging the intelligence, the experience, the networks, the capital of existing organizations to transform the way in which organizing is done. We did that with democratizing education. We've done that with the new voting rights movement and the election integrity movement. We've certainly done that with these renewed efforts for constitutional reform. And every couple of years we hold a convention. So in 2010 we had the first democracy convention. And we had a second one just this past year, 2013. So I guess it was 2011, 2013. And we're preparing for the next one, which will be a couple years from now. And those conventions bring together people who are working on pro-democracy campaigns from many different organizations. So each democracy convention has 9 conferences that take place simultaneously. Each conference is organized by a coalition of organizations nationally, and there's some cross-conference discussion that goes on to develop strategy. And so we really see our role as being movement builders. And the other thing that's a little bit different about us is we're based in Wisconsin. I don't live in Wisconsin anymore, but our office is there, our staff is there, our board is across the country. We're based in Wisconsin, and so we've always had a focus on the Midwest and on the South and on the West and on the Mid-Atlantic states. But we come to Washington, D.C. to protest. We come to support organizers on the ground here in Washington, D.C. We have some relationships with the Beltway groups, but that's not really the conversation that we're focused on. It's mostly building bottom up.
We must have a basis in our
Thanks so much.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you.
Everywhere. Today we may be rallying.
So how does your